Well, good afternoon and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrew Doffney. I'm the Instruction and Outreach Librarian at the New Jersey State Library. And it is my pleasure to present our speaker today, Stephanie Kulak from Capitol Health. She is the Trauma Injury Prevention Coordinator for Bristol Myers Squibb Regional Medical Center at Capitol Health. She is a graduate of Mercer County Community College Nursing School and obtained a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the College of New Jersey. She spent 6 years as a trauma emergency registered nurse prior to working in injury prevention. So welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for speaking with us today. Before we jump into the presentation, as always, just a few housekeeping items to go over. First and foremost, we will be taking your questions at the end of the program today. So please feel free to submit them at any time using the Q&A or the chat feature. There is a brochure that Stephanie has made available, and I will send a link out in the chat so that everybody can download that. There will be a survey available at the end of the webinar. If you have time, again, we always ask, please complete the survey. We love hearing from you. If you're interested in maybe some more driving tips, and I'll make sure that this link goes out in the chat as well, Stephanie has pointed us to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's road safety page. They have a whole variety of information for older drivers, for teens, distracted driving, all sorts of fantastic information is available there. So please check that out if you have a moment. One last thing before we jump in is just to go over the Zoom dashboard in case some of you are not familiar. First and foremost, your audio settings are in the bottom left corner, so you can check them at any time to make sure everything is working properly. At any point, if you have a problem, you can hit the raise hand button. I will send you a message in Zoom and hopefully be able to solve your problem for you. And as I mentioned about questions, you can use the chat feature or the Q&A feature. Either of them will be happy to answer your questions. So that is everything that I have for you. So I am going to turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you guys for having me. Like Andrew said, I work for Capitol Health in Trenton and work as the Trauma Injury Prevention Coordinator. It's my job to go out and help prevent injuries by giving education and community events and virtual programs like this. So I'm just going to get started. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me just make sure I have the correct one. All right. Come on, come on. All right. Andrew, are you able to see that? Just wanted to make sure.
Yep, it's good.
Perfect. Thank you. So I just wanted to do a little introduction on distracted driving. So distracted driving is any activity that takes your eyes off of the road. This includes a multitude of items, use of electronic devices, phone calls, texting, which is obviously the biggest, but as well as grooming, reading, use of GPS, eating and drinking, adjusting car stereos, and even just wandering off or not being in the right state of mind while driving. According to the American Automobile Association, texting is considered the most dangerous form of distraction. So some evidence-based literature from, I believe, 2019, which was our most recent, distracted driving is a public health concern that needs to be addressed. Successful intervention is important in order to mitigate teen distracted drivers who are in critical need for teen safety and public, as well as a public health safety for all. Cell phone usage and texting are prevalent within our society and the driving population. It is a growing concern within the confines of distracted driving. Adolescents and inexperienced drivers do have the greatest prevalence of texting while driving, but that does not exclude any other driver. So just some facts about distracted driving. Cell phones are a major factor in inattention to the road and to contribute to motor vehicle accidents that can cause trauma or death. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, 3,142 people were killed in 2019 in motor vehicle crashes in the United States, in which one or more drivers was reported as distracted. This accounts for about 9% fatal crash and approximately 400,000 injured individuals involving distracted drivers. So texting and driving, this is an example of how it can take effect on each individual person. The first thing is visual. Your eyes are off the road looking at a different screen that is not in front of you, usually to the side, up, down, wherever you post it in your car. Your eyes are taken away from the road where they should be focused. Manually, your hands are off the wheel. If you're sending a text message, you're concentrating more on the screen and more about the accuracy of your texting than you are on driving. This also has a cognitive effect. Your mind is not focused. So I just have some statistics about younger drivers and how they're at greater risk. Distracted driving statistics suggest that teens and young adults are the greatest risk for texting accidents. Drivers in their 20s make up 27% of the distracted drivers involved in fatal crashes. 10% of drivers under the age of 20 who were involved in fatal crashes were reported as distracted at the time of the crash. 20% of teens admit they have extended multi-message text conversations while driving. While young drivers are not the only drivers, they are the greatest risk, but this turns into 20-year-olds who are then 30-year-olds who are then 40-year-olds who continue to increase the risk of driving while distracted. One of the big tipping points I like to speak about is driving with children because I have two. It is often a great distraction when you have one or more children in the back seat who demand your attention. They often ask for things that fell. They want games, something to eat, something to drink. This could be on highways, side streets. One of the things I like to say the most is whatever you do, do not reach into the back seat while driving. This turns your body mechanics not in the upright position, prepared to stop, and an awkward position to your body, and it takes your eyes and your focus off the road. It's always recommended that if you need to get something from the back seat for a child or to take care of a child, to pull over, stop in a safe spot, and attend to the issue and continue on after the issue is resolved. I like with older children as they get older to discuss how important driving is. I always tell my children, mommy's driving, I can't do that right now. Over the years, the more you tell them, the more they understand, which is great because now they know driving is important so they don't cause that distraction as much. One of the things I like to do, and I always recommend to do, is to kind of pre-plan your trip. Make sure that younger children are changed in a fresh diaper. Make sure there's access to food and drink. And you can also add additional items such as some children have iPads right now where it can keep their focused attention instead of trying to get your attention while driving. I just wanted to touch on medications and driving. Medications affect your attention span. They can also make you sleepy, confused, and slow your reactions. Any medication that you take, it is very important to read the labels on the medication to see if it has any of these desired effects. In the event that you shouldn't be driving while taking a medication, it is labeled in either bright yellow or bright red to make the consumer informed that you should not be using this medication while driving. Medications can also cause sleepless nights and overtired days. This also takes away from your focus while you're driving during the day if you're overtired. So you want to make sure your medications do not contribute to distracted driving error that could cost you your property or a life. I also wanted people to evaluate themselves and know your limits. If a driving situation makes you uncomfortable, try and avoid it. Many of us voluntarily begin to make changes in our driving practices as we get older. Some examples are driving only during daylight hours, if seeing well at night is a problem, staying off of freeways or highways to avoid fast moving traffic, not driving in bad weather, rain, thunderstorms, snow, hail. Home is the safest place. Planning the route before you leave to feel more confident and avoid getting lost. In today's day and age, most cars come with navigation and GPS, radios, MP3, Sirius radio. If you do get a new car that is a technological upgrade from your old car, we always advise that you kind of go over the manual, check things out, make sure you kind of know where everything is before starting that drive, because now everything has bells, whistles, beeps. That can also be distracting. So we like you to get comfortable with any new vehicle or any vehicle that you haven't driven before. Here at Capitol Health, our Capital Women in Philanthropy gave us a grant to distribute. I don't have any for you because I'm virtual, but some don't text and drive distracted bands. These bands can actually go over your phone. This way you can't even touch your thumbs to the screen. So it helps prevent distracted driving. But some other stop distracted driving tips is when you get in your car, you can place your phone on silent. Not everything has to be answered immediately. Placing your phone on Do Not Disturb will allow you to answer the call when you're stopped and safe. You can download applications that prevent texting and driving. There's at least 5 really good ones that I know of that I have coming up in the next slide. You can turn off your phone if you feel that you can't not answer a text message when it's sent or answer a phone call. Turn it off. You can always get there safely and return that text or return that phone call. And like I said, we ordered these bands as a reminder to place over your phone to refrain from using it while driving. So I got a couple questions about some of the apps that are offered, and most of these are free and run on Android and iOS systems. There's a brief description under each, but here's 5 that I believe are free in the application, and they work great for parents, for older adults, for families. If you wanted to keep track of driving patterns for teens, even your husband or wife. But drive mode, once your car hits 15 miles an hour, the drive mode silences alerts and phone calls and texts. It can also send auto replies if you set it up. EverDrive is a competition with your friends, family, and even drivers in your neighborhood who can drive the safest within the app. So EverDrive rates you on acceleration, braking, cornering, speed, and phone use. It then gives you a trip grade to compare with your pals and scores. So that kind of makes it more of a game to be safe. Lifesaver runs silently in the background of phones, and then it activates when you start to drive. This can be used by employers as well as at home. This sends weekly email reports that detail distracted driving violations, and Lifesaver also has a special portal for parents which includes a reward system for drivers. TrueMotion Family, this app provides an overall picture of your family's driving. Each car trip gets graded on a 100-point scale, allowing for you to measure improvement over time and see how family members compare. So this app might be great for a new driver or somebody who's just learning to drive, where you can help critique some of their skills as well as help them understand the importance and why this is being picked up, what they are doing wrong to improve their driving. Text Drive is simply an autoresponder. It sends messages to those who try and call or text you while you're behind the wheel. You can set up an auto text and phone call and reply with a custom message, or you can reply using voice commands instead of taking your eyes off the road or taking your hands off the wheel. So we received a grant from our Capital Women in Philanthropy, and we were able to purchase 5,000 Don't Text and Drive bands to distribute to distracted drivers. And Andrew, that's all I have for today. I don't know if there's any questions. I don't know if anybody has any additional comments or concerns.
Certainly see if anybody has any questions, looking for tips or anything like that. I know that I can certainly say the new car, that's happened to me. We bought a new car, my wife and I, and she uses it most of the time, but now it's a very, very large touchscreen where it controls almost everything. And so when you're trying to adjust the climate controls, you have to go into the touchscreen and hit, there's no knobs. And that can
Yeah.
be extreme, and I found that to be extremely distracting.
Yes, I mean, I even my new car, I've done it a couple times where I'm like, where is this? I can't figure it out. So it definitely is great to go and review your manuals. And even if you get a new car, push all the buttons, figure out what they do. Take a couple of hours just to explore the interior because they are coming out with newer and newer upgraded technology that I can't keep up anymore.
Certainly, somebody has said refuse to go in a car with someone that does not follow the rules.
That is great. And that's actually one of the best things for younger kids because they lack that experience in driving. And if they feel uncomfortable with somebody who's a younger, inexperienced driver, simply to refuse and call mom, call dad, and aunt and uncle definitely is smarter than being in a situation that you're uncomfortable in.
Yeah, and following up on that, like how do you approach somebody that, you know is a distracted driver and maybe you don't feel as safe? How do you maybe have this conversation with them?
Um, I think the first step is not blaming. Maybe somebody doesn't truly know that they are a bad driver. Um, you can probably sit down and bring up some statistics initially and then continue on from there. It also depends on the person who is receiving the advice. It depends on if they become defensive. If they do and they're not willing to talk about it, then don't press the issue. But you can always hopefully talk to somebody who is dangerous behind the wheel and simply say, I don't feel comfortable driving with you because X, Y, and Z. You don't wear your seatbelt, you eat food while you're driving, you're always on your phone, and this is known to cause death. And one of the things that I like to say to people is that you truly don't realize um, the amount of lives that are affected from an accident where someone is seriously injured or seriously or killed from distracted driving. Oftentimes, people feel like they're invincible. And when that happens, um, there's a lot of times where people are held accountable and they have to be incarcerated for, vehicular manslaughter. And they have also taken a life from somebody. So trying to stress that to people that something as simple as a text message could wreck the rest of your life is an eye opener to some, not all, but it definitely needs to get the point across.
Do you think that maybe the statistics that you reported before might be underreported because a lot of people probably aren't going to admit if they were distracted while something happened?
Yeah, I know the National Highway and Traffic Safety Division, they do as much research as they can. A lot of people will tell you that they are a safe driver, but you can drive around any town and I guarantee you'll see somebody texting on the phone, eating, putting on lipstick, brushing their teeth. Who knows? I've seen very weird stuff. But I mean, I think the statistics potentially could have changed this year with 2020 and the pandemic, as well as 20 and 21 with most people being home. I'm sure the numbers have dropped and the commutes to and from work, most people were working from home. So I feel like the statistics might be down this year a little bit, but I don't know if that's going to increase with the increase of opening everything up.
Have you seen either car companies or insurance companies offering incentives to limit distracted driving, or have they put in any programs to kind of help with this?
The only one that I really know of is Progressive. I remember having it when I was 17 and a new driver, and I think they still do it. It's actually a chip that plugs into your car underneath by the fuse box. There's an area where it can plug into, and it actually does record real-time data, how fast you braked, how fast you accelerated. And I know hopefully if it's on the better side, then you can get a discount with the insurance. If it's on the worse side, they might tell you, we need to see your changes within 3 months to see if we can give you any type of discounts. But I do know of that one. That one I actually used myself as a 17-year-old, and I think it's still in use.
And I have one last question, and then
Yeah, sure.
I don't see anything. What is are there any initiatives or is Capitol Health doing anything in terms of, public programming or public initiatives and stuff to combat distracted driving?
So we do this talk as well, often in schools, high schools, as we are let in. Unfortunately, due to the limited interactive persons and just getting back to school this year, we haven't set anything up. But I know previous to COVID, it was being pushed very heavily. We also do a program around, we did it this year at Lawrenceville High School. And it's distracted driving as well as it's called our prom partnership. And what we do is we combined one of our trauma physicians speaks, as well as a reenactment is done about prom night. And this includes alcohol and drugs, as well as distracted driving, where the police, fire, they actually bring out a real car and a real wrecked car on scene. They kind of go through the motions of what would happen if you were under the influence or distracted. And it's pushed to prom kids because, they're 17, it's almost or 17, 18, it's almost the end of the school year. We want to really try and reduce both drug and alcohol as well as distracted driving. It's actually a really good community event to see, like, kind of a beginning to end, and the end does end with like a funeral service. And it's just kind of really to drive home how important that life really is. And you can make a change by just simply saying no.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Stephanie. I know it was short and sweet, but again, I did not know about these safe driving applications. That's fantastic to know, especially if you have children, or if you even have older individuals too that might be distracted for whatever reason who are driving. So again, we appreciate what you do. Thank
Thank
you
you. I
to
appreciate
everybody
it.
for attending today. If you have any questions about anything, or maybe looking for some more resources, there will be a follow-up email that will have Stephanie's contact information. So I encourage you to reach out for anything else. But well, everybody be safe, be well, and hopefully we can see you soon.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for having us. We really appreciate it.